James, before we talk politics, you're in New Orleans right now. You've just moved your family from Washington back to New Orleans, where you grew up. This must be scary stuff for you.
Well, I mean, we're watching it very closely. I'm a little optimistic that it's going to go west of us. But, you know, Wolf, anytime a storm gets in the Gulf, you have to watch it. It's a way of life here. And so we're watching it closely, but I have some reason for optimism that it's going to go to west of us. But what kind of scares me a little bit is this storm seems to have a similar track of that 1900 storm that went through Cuba and was so devastating to Galveston, Texas. So, you know, we don't know. Anytime it gets out in the Gulf, everybody along the Gulf Coast has to watch it very carefully.
And Donna, Brazil's from Louisiana originally as well. You know, this is hard to believe that potentially, as we just saw in that forecast, this storm, could move towards Louisiana again.
Look, James is absolutely right. People are very worried. They're concerned. Tens of thousands of people are still without electricity, so we're praying for the best.
All right, let's talk about these conventions right now. Alex, which convention, from the respective perspectives of the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, which convention was more successful?
I think both conventions were tremendously successful this year. I think that's why we have such a close race. Both parties, can you imagine anything I think the Democrats could have done that would have been better? Perhaps they picked the wrong VP candidate. That's maybe the only failing.
Instead of picking Hillary Clinton?
Instead of Hillary Clinton and leaving the Republicans an opening. The Republicans had one. If both conventions did very well, Republicans still had an advantage, and they came second.
Because the Democrats, Tara, the Democrats emerged united from their convention, but interestingly, the Republicans emerged pretty united from their convention as well. John McCain basically rallying the base of the party with the selection of Sarah Palin.
Well, I think the Republicans started out as a united party, continued through with that.
Well, he was having trouble with some of that evangelical religious right.
But that gap had started to close a little bit, and of course it just, you know, nominating Sarah Palin just solidified that, closed it even more. I heard from so many conservatives, so many evangelicals that are now on board. So it absolutely is even more unifying, I think, at this point. And I think that with the energy going forward, I would say, you know, right now it looks like John McCain has the momentum going forward. Now, I think that's going to certainly change over the course of these next 2 months, but he certainly has the momentum, having this stellar pick, this what some would say is a risky pick, but he took the risky route. Barack Obama, some say, took a safer bet.
Here, James, is how she hammered away in part at Senator Obama. We're talking about Sarah Palin. Listen to this.
I guess a small-town mayor is sort of like a community organizer, except that you have actual responsibilities.
All right, James, go ahead. Tell us what you think about this.
Well, first of all, Senator Obama was president of Harvard Law Review. He was in the state Senate where I think he co-authored something like 800 and something bills. He's been 3 years on the Foreign Relations Committee. He's debated Hillary Clinton something like 25 times. He showed up on God knows what, answered how many questions. So, and that town has, according to its website, 7,025 people. Look, I grew up in a town with one stop sign, so there's nobody else. I didn't grow up in a small town. I didn't grow up in a wide spot in the road. But I think that it's fair to question. She got a passport for the first time when she was governor of Alaska. So I think people are really looking into this. We know she wants to teach creationism in school. People are going to take a deep back, look at this, see what this appeal is. But there's no doubt that she has brought along the right wing of the Republican Party, and there's no doubt that they are more energized now, and I think we're going into a very interesting general election.
Let me bring Donna in on this whole issue of being a community organizer. Now, we know a lot of those community organizers are in the big urban areas, and there are some suggesting that when the Republicans, whether Giuliani or Sarah Palin, went after Obama for being a community organizer, there was a racial overtone there. Do you believe that?
Well, first of all, I don't think they understand the role of a community organizer, often to help people who are in distress. They've lost their jobs, they've lost their homes, they've lost their health care. And for many of us, it's a time-honored tradition to give back, especially those who have been rewarded with so much. The Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. And it comes out of that tradition. So it was insulting to see both, you know, the governor as well as Mayor Giuliani criticize people. There's some on the internet now that Jesus was a community organizer, Pontius Pilate was a governor, and perhaps they should understand the role of a community organizer to help people in distress.
Did it have a racial, Tara? Did it have a racial overtone?
No, absolutely, and I think that's ridiculous. I think that she particularly particularly was making, I mean, Giuliani's probably went a little bit too far. She was making the point that I, too, was a community organizer. I happen to have responsibility. This is the danger, though, and James continues to pick up on this. The danger the Democrats are doing here is this class warfare, saying, oh, she comes from this small little podunk town. I mean, well, if that's not in some sense racist or classist, they have to be very careful to say that and to suggest this is the problem that Americans have, and this is the distinctions that are going to be made, and the moral imperative, this moral contrast, this picture that's trying to be painted between, oh, she just ran this small little community as a mayor. She's a governor.
All right, let's let James respond. Go ahead, James.
I cannot. I'm absolutely floored that again I grew up in a place much smaller than that. I think it's very legitimate to question one's experience. I think it's very legitimate to look at. Excuse me for speaking while you're interrupting. Okay, Maya, go on, please. Thank you.
Continue, James.
I would point out that she's been governor of Alaska, which has 667,000 people, which is like being mayor of Memphis, Tennessee, for less than 2 years. I think it's a legitimate thing. That's a legitimate thing to discuss. I remember when Bill Clinton ran for president, they said that Arkansas was a small state. Well, Arkansas is more than twice as big as Alaska, and that was the biggest Republican talking point they had. When we get in this country where we come to a point and you say, what is this person bringing? Because remember, she's one heartbeat away from a 72-year-old heart. And so I think it's very, very fair to look at what she's done, look at the fact that she got earmarks for $4,000 a person in that town. That's how much pork she brought into that. Well, in one sense you say she's effective, but she sure is not a fiscal conservative at all.
All right, hold on. Let me let Alex respond because I know he's itching to get into this.
Well, I think a couple of things. One is that community organizer, the only point there is, of course, that not that it's not a noble thing, service to your fellow man. Is it a qualification to be president? I think that's the point Republicans have made. But, you know, there's a bigger story here, and the story is that Barack Obama said his campaign started with one idea. Remember, he was on stage with Joe Biden? He said, change starts from the bottom up. That's the Sarah Palin story. We all want to believe that in America, one of us can rise up and change this government. And Washington's broken. Most people, I think, understand that. They know it's not going to change from within. Here, I think the Republicans have picked this stellar pick that says, you know, new ideas are great. We've had years of them, and no one has actually made change happen. We need to go do that. We need to change this place. And so I think what the Democrats are saying, hey, America, Joe Average America, you can't do it.
But
only the insiders can.
Sarah Palin is an outsider,
story.
but John McCain has spent the last 26 years of his life in Washington.
And now he is reaching out to all America and saying, hey, this is our campaign. This is the little guy campaign. Let's change Washington, except the guy's a gal. And by attacking that, I think the Democrats are,
but he's running the same,
they're making her a hero.
Bread and butter issues that George Bush ran on, and we see the results. The highest unemployment in 5 years, median wages going down. That's the problem with this ticket. It's not a forward-looking ticket.
It is with her. You know, now we've had tons of new ideas for years, and nobody has made change happen in Washington. Now it's almost, it's not just a conservative campaign, it's a populist conservative campaign.
James, go ahead and respond, then we'll take a break.
Maybe I'm sitting somewhere else, but I thought we were fighting 3 wars. I thought we had a looming fiscal crisis. I thought incomes had gone down $2,000. I thought we were in the biggest credit crisis that we've had since the Great Depression. I actually take a unique view. I think the job of President of the United States is an awfully big job, and it requires people that understand that. I happen to think that Vladimir Putin is a dangerous man. It requires somebody that has been out of the country more than once to deal with it. I think our dependence on Middle East oil has to be addressed immediately. I think global warming is real, and I don't believe the Earth is 5,000 years old. I don't know if that makes me an elite or what, but those are my beliefs.
All right. We'll hang on to that, and we understand your beliefs. All right, James, stand by. Everybody stand by.